Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is a Breaker Bulletin for June 22nd, 2023. Alright, so yesterday was the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, and currently it is the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. And yeah, for some reason, these I guess scientific markers, sort of scientific holidays, matter to me. And so I actually took some time out to hang out with friends and have a fire and all that good stuff, and just kind of reflect on things. But with all that reflection aside, I also had to sit down and talk about what's been going on with Breaker Press, and so that's what we're going to do today. I apologize, it is very hot here right now, and so I've got a little bit of a sheen, a little bit of a glow, also a little bit of a sunburn. But that being said, let's talk about what's going on with Breaker Press. First and foremost, the thing that everybody wants to know about, always everybody wants to know about, is what is the status on the Protectorate of Genulane. And I've got some information to show off, so I'm going to click on this slide. Alright, so on the 13th of June, I ordered the Protectorate decks. So as you can see, it's positioned in the queue. There's 2,366 orders in front of me, with an estimated ship date of August 16th. Now, those numbers are constantly in flux. When I placed the order, the estimated ship date was August 3rd. I did a refresh. I actually pulled that information in the morning, clipped the slide, and then when I checked it just recently, it had switched to August 15th because a bunch of jobs were moved up or moved off of the queue, and they reassess. So that being said, what is the Protectorate deck? For those that don't remember, people could add on this deck of cards that has the symbols for the different encounters that exist in the adventure. And yeah, I originally printed these cards back in, I don't know, September, something like that. And I actually, that's why it says reorder. Originally it was just one deck, and now it's 100 decks. Only, I think, 75 people, roughly, out of the 250 that backed the Protectorate of Genulane are getting the Protectorate decks. So the important goal that I have set for myself is I really, really want to have Protectorate of Genulane done and with me at Gen Con. And so, the Protectorate decks, they will probably be done after Gen Con, but I will hopefully have copies of the book in my hand, start shipping them, and then just wait to ship the ones that have the Protectorate deck until last. So, if everything goes according to plan, the goal is to have the Protectorate of Genulane done by Gen Con. So, let's talk about Cleft in the Mangled Hills. Cleft, I was actually working on the layout today. I'm thinking about tweaking the map a little bit more, but for the most part, I'm just dropping things into the layout, pushing things around. There's a couple of bits and pieces that still need to be fleshed out a little further, but for the most part, we are getting close to completion on the the Cleft in the Mangled Hills. Oops. Slide. Things are getting close to completion, and the goal is to finish the layout and send it to editing at the end of this weekend, possibly early next week, which would then push editing probably until the following weekend. But yeah, we are getting to the finish line with Cleft in the Mangled Hills. It's been a long time coming, but we're getting there, and I'm very excited. So, the most recent Kickstarter was Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. The most recent thing that I can say about that is I have I'm going to pull off a Post-it note that has the you can't make this out in the lighting, but it has the sequence of a series of outdoor encounters, and I actually started sketching out and outdoor encounter maps for those encounters. The main encounter, the hour long big climactic thing, is the map has long since been done and was used for playtesting. But these additional encounters are just to flesh out the zine and give it a little more meat, so that you can get a full 3-hour, 4-hour session out of it. So things are moving right along with all of those things. So yeah, what's next? Patreon. Let's talk about Patreon. So this month's Patreon reward was Halo of Flies. This particular pamphlet details Astel the Wanderer, and those of you that have rabid dogs will already be familiar with the name, because there is an article by the same name in Rabid Dogs that also is about Astel the Wanderer, but I actually rewrote all the kind of guidance on how to use the NPC, wrote brand new rumors and opinions. Yeah, pretty much the only thing that's the same with this is the stats. And you can combine the two things together to get an even more fleshed out Astel the Wanderer experience. But if you just have this, you can totally run this NPC, very insidious NPC, in your games, whether it's standard based or not. So yeah, that was a fun project. The next project for July, something that I showed off on the Patreon page in PDF form. I'm going to finish up the Hillwood Camp character creation guide. This is very similar to the standard character creation guide, but it's all the occupations and everything will be themed to, or are themed. It's written already. Are themed to Hillwood Camp, and I figured that would be the perfect thing to complement the fact that I'll be shipping off Cleft in the Mangled Hills and Hillwood Camp. So yeah, and that will also be a free PDF on DriveThruRPG, most likely. I think that's the plan. So that's what's going on with Patreon. And so then that means what is next? And next up is Sorceress Rites of the Elements. That will be I've been showcasing on Patreon a bunch of different element-based spells because the themed type of wizards to Stennard are elementalists. So I decided to do a deep dive into that. Very similar to the Tome of Debasement, where it's a bunch of spells and then information on essentially running an elementalist as opposed to an evil cleric. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a full class guide plus a bunch of spells, and that is going to be up next. The goal is to launch that Kickstarter next week. It's all going to depend on whether I'm not going to launch it until I send Cleft in the Mangled Hills to print. Yeah, all of that is all kind of dependent on what's going on with Cleft in the Mangled Hills. And that is everything that's going on with Breaker Press Games. I really appreciate all the support, all the patience, all those good things. Thank you to all the people that have been sharing their Patreon rewards and sharing their Kickstarters online when they arrive. You have no idea how beneficial that is, because invariably anytime somebody does that, somebody either subscribes to the YouTube channel, or they join the Patreon, or they order stuff from the Breaker Press web store. There also was a dump of 5 new releases on Wednesday on the Goodman Games web store from Breaker Press, and all that stuff should be appearing on Exalted Funeral very soon as well. So yeah, you can support Breaker Press all sorts of ways through the Patreon. $5 a month gets you something in the mail every single month. You've got the web store, and then obviously Goodman Games, Noble Knight, Exalted Funeral, itch.io, which reminds me I need to update my itch.io with some of the new releases, and then DriveThruRPG. So that being said, thank you for supporting Breaker Press Games. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. Like and subscribe. I'll talk to you all soon.